two-part session. All right, so this session is going to be a two-part session, like I said. And I said it's important that we have this conversation together as a community, right? Because one of the things that I picked out from the Microsoft event, and I'm going to share the document with the house, but I don't just want to share the document with the house because I have like how many pages here? I have a 6-page text. So you know me, I like jotting down, right? I have a 6-page text from that entire session right here. And I'm going to share with the community, but at the same time, I feel like just sharing it with the community, you're not going to have context. Somebody had said, "Oh, when are you going to share it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sharing it is not the problem, but understanding the context behind it is the problem, right?" And if you don't understand the context, you would not know how to maximize the document. You might just read the document and be like, "Oh, they said this, they said this, they said that." So on Friday last week, we had what we had the first ever innovation session for product managers, and it was a closed house environment because obviously we were not plenty. We were about 30 something of us. We from Innova Lab that was at that session, and it was a closed house thingy. And we had, three leaders at Microsoft. The head of the garage. The garage is where Microsoft does their innovation. A senior product manager who is a mentor to me, Mr. Oladipupo Bolaji, and their head of African Development Center, Microsoft Africa, West Africa to be precise, Mr. Yemi. And it was personally, I don't take things for granted, right? Not because of maybe the people, but because I always feel like there's always something new to learn, right? And it's important that we are all open to those things that are new to learn, right? So, what are the key things to take away? A number of things. Like I said, I have a 6-page document here based on that conversation, right? But I'm going to start from here. This one, before I go into my full talk. If there's one thing that you need to do for yourself in 2024, right? Mr. Yemi talked about 3 people you should roll with in any environment you find yourself. Even inside this our Innova Lab community, 3 people you should roll with. Number 1, have acquaintances. Number 2, have allies. And number 3, have advocates. But in those 3, right, you want to focus on your advocates. Advocates are the people that will speak for you where you cannot even speak for yourself. And in today's world of recommendations and in our world of doing recommendations and all, I'm sure that I want to assume that by now you probably know the power of recommendations, right? It's more powerful than even your skill sets. And we always, for us Nigerians, we always say, "Oh, na person we no person the person." I think I've used that word before. But the truth is that before I used to say that word like, "Oh, na person we no person the person," and you have to have connection. And whenever we say you have to have connection, some of us or many people, even myself, some like even just 2 years ago, I used to feel like having connection is a bad thing. But I've known over the years that knowing somebody that can stand for you in a place where you cannot stand for yourself is even more important than the knowledge that you have. I'll say that again. Knowing somebody that can stand for you in a place where you cannot stand for yourself is even more important than the knowledge that you have. Right? Way more important. And so, hence, if you want to build your career and you want to move your career exponentially, the keyword is exponentially. If you want to grow your career step by step, one by one, yeah, maybe you can be using your knowledge and you can try to be smart, try to learn everything that you want to learn, but you would not potentially grow your career exponentially. But if you double it by being smart and then now having people that can speak up for you, it plays a big role. It can literally catapult your career any level you want to take it to. Right? So, my brother and sister, let me go like church route. Please have advocates. And how do you have advocates? Advocates are people who can speak up for you. And how do you build people who can speak up for you? You must have been nurturing those relationships over time. So what I mean, nurturing those relationships means that you must have been making friends with the right people that can speak up for you when it then matters. Not immediately. And I think that's one of the challenge that we have with Gen Zs and maybe some millennials. We have that everybody want to rush things and get things done sharp, sharp. I have relationships that I've been building with people for 4, 5, 6 years. The days those relationships are going to speak for me, I would not be surprised. And not because I'm doing those relationships because I want to take advantage of something, because that's another misconception, right? It's an healthy relationship of give and take, right? Don't be saying no Gen Z, no Gen Z slander. Don't worry, I'm not trying to slander anybody. I'm just trying to say based on observation, right? So, but in a nutshell, so that we don't digress, in a nutshell, focus on having advocates. And how do you have advocates? Have people that can speak up for you. How do you get people that can speak up for you? Build relationships that you can nurture over time that will then be relevant for you on the days that you don't even know. That's the most important thing. It's not even on the days that you know. Most of the time, the people that will speak for you, you don't know when they are going to speak for you. And we all know, even in the context of building products, right? The best products that win in the market are the products that are recommended. Go and check it anywhere. The best products that win in the market. If you're a product manager and you are trying to drive product launch, you're trying to drive product market fit, don't focus too much on the marketing. It's something that I've talked about in class before, right? If you have been in my classes before, right? You don't focus too much on the marketing, especially when you're in the introduction stage. Your focus is to achieve product market fit. And for you to get to product market fit is you build something that solves a problem that people are going to use consistently, repeatedly, till the point where it then becomes something that they love enough to recommend to somebody else. Apple is the most valuable company in the world today. But one of the strengths of Apple is easily recommendable to somebody else. For many of you, your first Apple device was based on recommendation. My first Apple device was based on recommendation. I'm sure that for the most of us, you didn't just wake up the first time you ever bought an Apple device and just went to buy an Apple device. Most likely you saw it with somebody or somebody told you to go and buy it. And so this whole advocate thingy makes more sense, when Mr. Yemi shared it again. Because he works in products. The most successful companies today are the companies that are easily recommendable by their customers. So the lesson from there is, career-wise, build advocates, nurture relationships that can be important to your life. Not just even for your career as a product manager, but outside of your career as a product manager. But even for your products, where you're managing products, where you have products under your portfolio that you're managing as a product manager, your biggest advantage is, how do you ensure your product is good enough for it to be recommended easily? If you build structures and systems around your product in a way where your product is good enough for it to be recommended easily, your product has a tendency to do well and do better than a product that is even better than yours, but it's not easily recommendable. But let's just take it from there. But I want you to, if you're writing, you can write that down. Have advocates, both for your career and even for your product that you're managing. If you're an entry-level person here, if you're an aspiring product manager, you're trying to aspire to become a product manager, your strengths, or where you should be investing your most energy, or don't let me say most energy, where you should be investing a lot of energy is on building relationships that can become advocates to you in the future. And that means that you want to have strategic relationships. Meaning you want to have relationships with people that they are above you and they can be integral to your success. And now, when I say they're above you, you're not building the relationship because you want to use them. Any relationship is a give and take. Give and take means that you are giving something and then you are getting something, right? That's healthy relationship, right? Anyway, whether it's a romantic one or a career one or a professional one, healthy relationship means that you are giving something, you are getting something in return. That's healthy, right? So I urge you, get advocates in your life and get people that are senior to you, that are in high places, that you build relationship with them over time, and those relationships are strategic because you know that these people are in places that can matter to you in the future, not now, because you have to nurture those relationships. Some might take 2, 3, 4, 5 months, some might take 1 year, some might take 4 years, some might take 5 years. But as you continue to water the relationship, it makes more sense over time. Last week Sunday, I was at Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika's program, and if you know life series, I don't know if anybody attended life series. And one of the things that she's very big on is longevity. And I think that is something we don't talk a lot about in the tech space. Personally, this year, I chose not to attend a lot of tech events and chose to attend events that don't has to do with tech. And I want to advise you guys in this community, right? Maybe not outside, but you guys here, I advise you to not just limit yourself to tech-related events. I know see everybody's doing no code. I went for is it InterSwitch something, and it's great, right? But I think that when you go outside of the tech environment, you get to hear things that we don't typically talk about in tech, and you start to connect the dot and see how it can make more sense in tech, right? And again, I think for us in the tech environment, when people do events, it's literally, you probably would have heard everything one way or the other, right? You probably would have heard, or maybe most of the things they will talk about one way or the other. But when you go into an event that has nothing to do with tech, most likely you hear a lot of things that you've probably not heard about in the tech industry. So that's one. Focus. Have 3 people you should roll with in an environment: acquaintance, allies, advocates. Acquaintance are like, pen friends, people that are just your paddy. Allies are people that are like your friends. And then advocates are people that can speak for you in places that matter. You have to build strategic relationships, because those relationships are more important than even what you think you know. Those relationships, they are more important than even what you think you know. You cannot be smarter than when somebody recommends you. If 2 people are in an organization and they want to get promoted, truth that the connection is a thing. So it's, instead of you saying, oh, it's connection that is making them to get the job, it's connection that is making them to get the promotion, how can you play that connection in an healthy way? That's the thing. How can you play the connection in an healthy way? Because it's a game. And sometimes we get too into it's a bad thing. Yeah, they get the thing because of connection. Truth is that it is a game, and you have to play the game because that's the game. Obviously, you don't have to play it healthy, not play it unhealthy. Don't turn to Nigerian politicians. But the truth is that there's politics in every game of life. But yes, let's put that there. Have advocates for your career. Have advocates even for your product. Build products in a way where your customers can become your advocates. It is cheaper, it is less expensive. If your customers are recommending your product, that reduces your customer acquisition cost. Marketing budget is going to drop. And when marketing budget drops, it means that company can make more money. So optimize your product. That's another side to that advocate. Optimize your product to the point where your product ensures the customers become the advocates of your product. It's way more easier, it's way more cheaper. It might be harder to get to that point where customers become your advocates. But if you get it right, your customers becoming your advocate means that your customer acquisition cost, your CAC, when it comes to your metrics, is going to drop, and marketing budget drops. All of that influences the company revenue. But that's that for that. Another major thing we want to take away is, please don't be afraid of failure. Fail forward, fail fast. One of the things that we talked about there. Fail forward, fail fast. Right? Some of us here are afraid of, what if I fail? Oh, what if it doesn't work? Oh, what if it doesn't do it? Right? And if there's one lesson I learned more this 2023 personally, is just do. I know it sounds aspire to perspire, but the truth is that just be doing stuff. If you sit down and do retrospective, you find out that the more you do, even though you make mistakes, even though you fail at some of the things, the more you do, the more successes that you have. And I personally feel, not because I didn't know these things before, but it makes more sense now because of some of the experiences that I've seen this 2023. Right? The Microsoft event, we were pursuing it for 6 months. Trying to pursue this partnership for 6 months. And by the way, there are still some underlying things that partnership is going to bring about, but I'm still just taking it one step at a time. right? We'll be we'll be letting the cat out of the bag. So it's not just that innovation session alone, right? There are still some underground work that is still being happening. And those underground work, for example, is a result of advocates. For example, we didn't write a proposal to Microsoft say we want to do a partnership. It was because somebody connected me to somebody. I built relationship with the person. Then the relationship became, he's a staff of Microsoft, and I said, "Oh, what can we do?" Funny thing is that I was not the one that fully proposed it. That's the interesting thing. The relationship was well nurtured to the point where the person himself proposed and say, "Oh, can you guys come to Microsoft to do this thing? And let's see you guys. Let's see your community. Let's weigh what you guys are and what you guys can do." So it was not even a thing of, to be very honest, I didn't propose the session. It was the staff that proposed the session. So what am I saying in a nutshell? But there was a relationship that was built to get to that point. So it didn't just wake up one day. And even after the session was proposed, it still took us 6 months before we could do it in December. A lot of emails and back and forth, and and it was again healthy because obviously there are a lot of things happening at the same time. So it then means that you also have to be very patient. And I think that that's also one thing that a lot of people, when you did not get something in 2 months, you would have left it. The man did not get something in 3 months, you would have left it. It took 6 months for this to happen. And before this happened, there's a relationship that was already built almost going to 1 year. So if I want to cumulate, how do we get to this point where we now have this partnership with Microsoft? Is about 1 year, 6 months of relationship to get to this point. Not that Banji is smart, not that Banji knows what he's doing, but a relationship that was built over the last 1 year, and then we now use 6 months to now finalize to get to this point. And there is still, like I said, there are some underlying things that could potentially come out of this that we are still working on under the ground. Relationships. Fail fast, fail forward. Very, very important. Let me skip all these other things. Start early. There was something Mr. Yemi talked about. Please, anything you want to do right now, the earlier the better. Don't drag too much. The worst that will happen is that you will fail. And when you fail, you learn how to fail forward. Fail forward means that you learn from your failure, use the learnings to go to the next stage. And the beauty of product management is that we fail forward. I'm not sure any product manager that is managing product will say everything works 100% fine, except the person is lying to you. There are features that we launch that don't make sense, and then we have to ship it out. And then there are things that we do that customers are not going to adopt, and then we have to probably sunset it, right? So not everything is going to work, but then we have to reiterate the next thing to do, right? So fail fast, fail forward, start early. Look at these statements here. Please don't have plenty ideas, especially as product managers. Some of us have idea is plenty in our mind, but implementation is more important than your ideas. So please don't carry idea too much on your head. Go and implement. And we all understand, at least I think most persons here understand product management. We all know minimum viable products. If you have an idea in your head, can you streamline it to an MVP and then launch it? No matter how crazy the idea is, the worst that will happen is if you ship it as an MVP, you scale it down to the barest minimum of what that idea can be, and you build an MVP version. The worst that will happen is that it won't work, right? Imelda is here. Myself and Imelda and Rosemary are currently working on a project. And one of the conversations we are having right now is, almost this idea is going to work, Abi is not going to work. But why we're able to have this conversation easily is because we have not invested too much of resources aside from our time and our energy. And so it's not feeling like we've done so much. We know that, okay, it's just an MVP. So what's the worst that could happen? It won't work, and then we'll sunset the product and we'll move on to the next thing. So please focus more on implementation, right? And then go to market fast. If you're a product manager here and you have products that are in your hands right now that have not launched, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you're wasting time. What's the worst that will happen? Launch that small version, scale down the product into an MVP, launch it, take it to market, test it out with real users. The worst that will happen is that people will not use it. And the worst that will happen, you will sunset it or you will reiterate on what that idea can be. So please, please, and please, Go to market fast. Don't waste time. Okay, what are the things? By the way, Mr. Yemi advised us to reach out to these persons. But let me quickly say something. He said these two people here, Jacqueline, I know I'm not pronouncing it very well. Ekweme, she's a senior program manager at Microsoft. And Mr. Yemi said we can reach out to her. For those that attended the session, you probably know when he said that. And Ugochi Nweze, right? You can reach out to them, but please, I urge you. He advised us to reach out to them if you want to learn anything about Microsoft product management and what it takes to work at Microsoft, or if you are looking for someone to hold you by the hand. But I urge you, don't go to their DM and then now write something vague and say, my name is Banji, I'm a product manager at InnovaLab Community. Please don't go and do that. Look at the thing I highlighted. Know what you want before reaching out to anyone. And that means that you have to be specific. Don't just, and that's why some of us probably don't get the kind of people that we need. Avoid cliche. Don't be saying, I'm a product manager, I'm looking for somebody to mentor me. Mentor you on what? It's not specific. Don't send a DM to those people and say, I need somebody to mentor me. What have you done for them to mentor you? If you have nothing on your portfolio, they will not respond to your DM. So don't send something vague, right? Be able to have something specific that you know that they are also interested in. That's the key word now. Something specific that you know these mentors, they are also interested in. So don't just go to them and say, oh, my name is Banji, I'm a product manager at InnovaLab, and I am currently looking for a mentor, except you are just lucky. That's when you get probably a response. Right. So if you're the kind of person that, aside from these two persons, right, he advised us to reach out to these two persons. But aside from these two persons, anybody you want to reach out to that is senior level, don't go to them without a sense of direction. I remember telling this to Juliana, right? She attended, the conference at one of the training institutes earlier this year, and I told her, I said, don't go there without a sense of direction. And she did exactly that, and she came out of that event much more purposeful because there were clear, concise direction that she was taking as in going into that event. So please don't send DMs to senior people or reach out to people without having a sense of direction. Could make sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. So that's that for that. Quickly, let's talk about this. The quality of the questions you ask is going to determine the quality of your life. What I fine-tune this question to mean is, even as a product manager, the quality of the questions you ask during user research is also going to impact the quality of the product you build. Yep. That's the way I interpreted it in my head. I think I shared it on my WhatsApp status. The quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of your life. But I interpreted it for product managers to say the quality of the questions you ask during research is going to determine the quality of the product that you build. So if your product is not giving, like we use in our slang, it means that the quality of the questions you probably ask during research. And I was talking to a team of product managers yesterday, and I told them that I'm noticing a trend where product managers are doing user research as a casual process because it's part of our job and not an intentional and very patient and intentional process. And just in case if you are doing that, please backtrack. Don't just do user research because it's part of our job. Do user research because you really, 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 really want to understand the pain points, the frustrations, the behaviors, and the challenges that your potential customers have. In short, say don't do user research because you want to build an app or build a solution. Don't do user research because you want to build a solution. Do user research because you want to understand the customer's pain points, you want to understand their frustrations, you want to understand their behaviors, you want to understand their goals. Because without that, what you're basically doing is you're just following the crowd of doing what everybody is doing because that's what everybody is doing. Right? So, yeah, let me stop there. Anything you tolerate, there's no point of complaining. Always pick up with your full chest. This one, for those that attended the session, you see how they were encouraging us, speak up with your full chest. I think it's important that going into 2024, you speak up with your full chest. Please don't be You can be shy, but you can still be confident. You can be an introvert, but you can still be somebody that speaks confidently and speaks clearly. And that doesn't stop you from being a shy person, and that doesn't stop you from being an introverted person. But you can still speak confidently in the places that you know that matters, right? So I want to wrap up on these Microsoft takeaways. I will share this document with us, but I just feel like it was important to highlight some of the key things there so you have better context. Yeah, good ideas can come from anywhere. Diverse teams produce better outcomes. The more diverse the teams, the better the outcomes. Failure is essential for learning. Whether you're right or wrong, make a decision. Please don't do analysis paralysis. Don't be analyzing everything. And that's why the concept of MVP makes sense. If you have any idea in your head, it doesn't even have to be product management. If you have any idea, just streamline it to an MVP and say, okay, this thing that I'm thinking about, let me bring it down into an MVP and let's see what it is going to make out of it or what is going to come out of it. Right. And I think that if you streamline it down to an MVP, it's easier to be able to say, okay, this is a small version of this thing, and let's start with this one version and then let's see what happens. If it makes sense, it makes sense that we improve on it. If it doesn't make sense, we sunset it and we throw it out and we fail forward, meaning that we learn from all of that and we move forward to the next step, right? Innovation. Simply renew, to improve, or to replace things, right? Is the process where a domain, a product, or a service is renewed and brought up to date by applying new processes, introducing new techniques, or establishing successful ideas to create new ideas, right? Creation of value is a defining characteristic of innovation. And then we talked about, we had one video session where we walked about business skills to make millions. But I think key thing here is observe the marketplace, observe the pain points, right? Products that you should innovate, anything that is desirable or desirable, something that the marketplace wants, something that is valuable, right? Something that is measurable, and then something that is stateable, right? What else? Start by solving little problems, identify the source of the problems. Yeah, one thing that I'm going to highlight, let me spend the next couple of minutes talking about this. Be a product manager with a specialty, right? Be a product manager with a specialty in the sense that find a niche that you can build yourself around. It can be either as a technical PM, data PM, a growth PM, an AI PM, or a consumer experience PM, or it can be industries where you are like a fintech PM, an e-commerce PM, a kids product PM, right? For example, now, I have this friend of mine, Bridget. She builds products for kids, right? And she has been in that space for years. But building products for children now is not something popular, right? But there are companies building products for children. And the interesting thing is that those products are not always very competitive. If you go and apply for a job in a children company now, like TSAS, for example, or what's the name of this company that raised fund recently that has to do with building children products. Those kind of places, they are not competitive, right? So be a person who has specialty in an area. That way it helps you to stand out, right? For example, the three people that spoke to us at Microsoft, if you listen to them carefully, for those that attended, you figured out that in their story, they all had specialties. Mr. Idowu had specialty in 3D printing. And at the point when he had specialty in 3D printing, it was not a thing in Nigeria. Mr. Bolaji, senior program manager, Microsoft, he built the first CBT infrastructure CBT exam for JAMB in Nigeria. So if anybody here wrote CBT exam in 2012, stroke 13 and 14, I think, or maybe 11 to 13 or 12 to 14, according to him, you use the software. He was one that built it for JAMB. Look at that. Unique. Number 3, Mr. Yemi, who spoke to us, he has a lot of experience in that marketing space, right? And his niche is in the marketing space. So all these 3 people that spoke to us, they have specialty in a specific area. So one way that you want to carry at the back of your mind to build your career in 2024 is look at the areas that you are very good at. look at the industries that you really enjoy playing at, and then build yourself to be an expert in that industry. Don't be a generalist, especially if you've been doing, and this is for people who are already like, you've been doing product management for about like 2 years. I think at this stage, maybe if you're entry level, please be a generalist. So let me sure I can speak to everybody according to what works. So if you're entry level, if you're just starting your career, you're under 1 year in product management, you still need to learn being a good generalist. But the moment you are like 2 years, 3 years in product management, you need to start varying down to being a specialist. Have an area that you really like playing in, you know that you have experience in, or you know you can be able to build experience in, and then you start to be the expert in that area. And the more niched, the better, right? The more niche the area, the better. So don't just be a Gbogbo product manager. Don't be a Gbogbo product manager, right? Especially when you're already 2-3 years down in your career, you want to be a product manager with expertise in specific areas. But if you're just starting out in your career, please, you still need to be a generalist. You still need to learn the core of doing product management, right? If you're just starting out, if you're under 1 year. But if you've crossed 1 year in your PM career, it's time to start to diversify and look at what areas can I be a very good specialist at. Because if you are special in one area, it means that you have product management skills, product management experience, and then you now have a specialty in a core. And that helps you to stand out better out there when you're looking for opportunities, when you're looking for job, when you're looking for things like that. And look at the statement under that I highlighted context. Is that you have to stand out for big companies to come to you. You can't be doing what the crowd is doing and expect to be hired by big tech. And I remember Mr. Idowu talking about that. Right? He said you have to stand out for big companies to come to you. All of them that spoke to us, they never applied for the job at Microsoft. Right? They were recruited by Microsoft recruiters. They didn't apply. Right? And that's a typical sign of being so valuable to the point where people reach out to you. And that's another thing entirely. You have to be valuable to the point where people reach out to you instead of you reaching out to people. If you want big companies to hire you, it's best don't join the crowd of applying. Instead, show that you are valuable. And how can you show that you are valuable? Please use your LinkedIn. Right? If you're looking for international opportunities, big tech opportunities, use your LinkedIn like your life depends on it. But how do you use your LinkedIn like your life depends on it? Obviously, you have to be valuable first. And then you now have to show that you are valuable by sharing what you do on LinkedIn. Right? Obviously, what you do has to be valuable. You can't go on LinkedIn and be talking about what is product management. That's not valuable. But if you go on LinkedIn and start talking about what is product management in aviation sector, maybe because you are passionate or you love doing things in aviation, now that is unique. You can get the attention of people or recruiters that are hiring product managers for the aviation industry. Right? Even in Nigeria, it's just that I guess our aviation companies like Air Peace and United Nigeria and maybe Arik and all of these airlines, they probably outsource their development, right? Most likely they outsource it, right? I'm assuming that they outsource their software development or their app development or their website development and stuff, right? I don't know if they have internal teams. I don't have any information. Instead of you competing for jobs in fintech, I'm sure Air Peace, they're going to pay well. At least Air Peace is one of the foremost airline in Nigeria. If you go there and you have interest in airline and aviation sector, why can't you be a product manager at Air Peace? Or at least be a product manager at the agency that is building for Air Peace, any one of the above. Because it's still in your portfolio. Right. So you have to stand out for big companies to come to you. You can't do Gbogbo Ero. You can't be doing over generalist. Even for newbies, if you as a newbie, if you can find, and look at what I put here, finally, right? How you stand out is to pick a niche and be very good that you can't be ignored in that niche. Use your LinkedIn actively to share your experience within a niche. Know what you want specifically from senior people. Don't just say you want to be mentored. Have a sense of direction as exactly what you want. And then make sure the mentors are the best fit. So don't go to a mentor that is not doing what you are looking for and they are saying, come and be my mentor. So you are saying you are looking for, you want to you want to get into, let's assume that you want to enter into the fintech space. Don't go and meet, even don't come and meet me, because me, I'm not a fintech product manager. You have to go and find people like, what's his name now? Our senior PM from Kuda Bank, like that came to speak with us some weeks back. People like that. These are the people you want to go and meet. They already have fintech experience, a bulk of it. You don't come and meet Banji now, and you want to work in fintech. Because me, I'm not a fan of fintech, right? I don't work in fintech. I have never worked in fintech. So you can't come and meet Banji and say, Banji, come and be my mentor and be him. So you have to have feet. But if you want to maybe say you want to learn about strategy and growth, I am more of a growth-focused product manager. So if you're looking for anything on growth, you can come to my DM. I would probably throw you 1 or 2 ideas and insights if we sit down together and we brainstorm your product. But if you are coming to me about maybe APIs, for example, or maybe technical stuff, I would say go and meet Mark, right? Mark Yusuf, right? I would say go and meet Mark Yusuf. He's your go-to person. So that's what I mean by, make sure the people that you are reaching out to be your mentor, they are the best fits for what you want. Don't just say because you like somebody. Don't say because you like Banji. If you come to me for anything fintech, or if you come to me for anything technical, I might give you an advice here and there, but I'll probably not give you an advice the way Mark will give you an advice. Because Mark has been in the technical space for 10 years, right? It will give you all the nitty-gritty details you want to hear. But you can't come to me now. But if you want to come to me for anything growth, right? Oh, brilliant. I would sit down with you and give you ideas. If you want to come to me for anything, maybe aviation, obviously, I'm not your go-to person for aviation. So it sort of trickles down depending on what you want. And that means that everybody cannot even be your mentor. And I think it's something that, you always have to think about. Don't just reach out to people randomly, because I know some people do that, right? And so, in a nutshell, these are some of the key lessons to take out from the Microsoft conversation, right? And I hope that, some of the things that I've shared in the last 30 minutes, you are able to take some of key ideas and insights from it, and you're able to run with those ideas and run with those insights. Because the most important thing for me and why I'm having this session with us is implementation. So don't just let us become and be talking and talking and talking. I need you guys to go out there and implement. Like I said, our mission at InnovaLab is building impactful product managers. We are not just here to be training people. I want to be able to say our product managers are here and their impact is seen. Because why not? Why shouldn't you be impactful? That's the question. Why shouldn't you be impactful? So please, all these things that we are talking about, don't just take it as, I'm being inspired. Please don't be inspired. Be inspired to go and work and to go and get the job done, right? So don't just be inspired, right? I remember the first time I went to Microsoft's office, I was like, God, this office is fine, right? And I was inspired. But then what did the inspiration do? The inspiration is to get to work, right? So that, because it's not inspiration that brings results, it's work that brings results. So please don't be inspired alone. Get to work. Right. Okay, let's do like a pause and let's ask questions, right? Before I jump into my second conversation, right? Any questions? If you have questions, kindly raise up your hand, and so that we can trash it out quickly. And please, when you're asking your questions, just go straight to the point, so that we can maximize. I know I said we can use more than an hour, but obviously we should not now use 3 hours to do this conversation. So if you have any questions, go straight to the point. Go straight to the point with your question. All right. Let's do ladies first. Let's start from Stewart. Hi, Stewart.
Hi, Banji. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Sorry, I have a bit of cold, so in case my voice is not very clear. All right. Thank you very much. And firstly, I want to appreciate this insight. These are the kind of things we actually need. So I really appreciate it. So my question, not more like a question, but I need so it's referring to something you speak to, and it's something I'm experiencing right now. And I I want to make a decision because I feel like if I don't take a stand at it, it just might affect my growth in the coming year. And I just wanted to get your insight. So I'll draw you back to when you referred to the politics part and trying to say we have to play the game. So I'm just going to give you like a summary of what I'm experiencing, and then I want to see how best I can use what you said in that regard with what I'm currently experiencing. So I work as a product manager in one of the financial banks, and from what I've seen so far, is more like a kiss ass kind of situation. I'm not a kiss ass kind of person. I believe in I know what I want. I'm here to do my job. I go far and beyond. And when I talk about far and beyond, it's not like I want to show you or I want to come out and, publicize it in that regard. I rather do my job, learn from it, make my mistakes, work with the team. I just focus on the job. I'm not here to go show myself to my supervisor and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and begin to blow my trumpet, people just like that, I'm not that kind of person. But what I've come to realize is in that fixed, because I'm not that kind of person, it has affected me in my job before that I had to leave that job, a previous job I was doing, because I just couldn't keep up. I'm not that kind of person. So I had to resign. I felt like it was just toxic for me. And now it's happening again. And I just feel like if I'm not that kind of person, there was a promotion I was due for, and I noticed that thing really played a part. And the statement my supervisor made that got me a bit angry, but I just kept myself, was, this level you're about to get to now, I've not even seen what's going to be your impact at the level. I'm like, sir, it was, and then the next thing was like, oh, can you face the ED? I'm like, sir, I speak to the ED. Is it because I don't come to tell you that I have spoken to the ED? And I'm like, okay, even if I want to go meet the ED of a bank, they're like hierarchies. I'm going to meet you, meet the CDO. Like, they're hierarchies. I don't just go meet an ED. Like, do you understand? So I was trying to, I don't know whether he was trying to play with my psychology, or it was, at that point, I was a bit pissed. But I just could not say it. But, he kept throwing those random questions, and I just kept giving him like, sir, I will never bypass you to go meet the next person. If I'm going to meet an ED, it means you are aware of what I'm going to do. You are already aware, because I know the ED is going to come back to you. So it's going to be foolish of me to bypass you and then go to that. But people do it. You can understand. So I don't want to bore you with the whole story. But this is what I'm facing. Finally, I got the promotion, but at that point, I'm just relating to what you said right now. I'm just like, what could I have done something better? Could I have did I play the game? Is there a game I'm supposed to play? And there was also something that happened recently to some of my colleagues, and we're just talking about it today, and I just feel like, am I working with a different kind of boss? Is something wrong? Because truth be told, I just said myself, maybe I just need to resign and look for another place. But I'm like, I do this a lot, So I'm just like, can I just? And then I hear you right now. I'm like, oh, play the game, but play it healthy. I'm like, is there really a healthy part to it? I just feel like if you keep playing this game, you just become a part of it. And then when you go to a sane kind of organization, it just might show that I don't know. It's just I don't know. So
I can feel your pain, right? I can feel the pain, and it's genuine, really, right? Now let me say something, right? Again, I think I said it earlier that I attended Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika's program last Sunday, live series, and she still made mention of this same thing. You have to play it. You have to have strategic relationships that will be integral within an organization. Now, how do you play the game healthy, right? Where you're not kissing anybody's ass. You're not trying to be an hypocrite when you don't like somebody. But you're playing healthy in the sense that, for example, you have a professional, healthy relationship with your line manager, your maybe adjacent managers. And when I mean professional, healthy relationships, it can be as simple as remembering their birthdays. It can be as simple as sending them gifts on their birthdays. Not because you have anything in mind. Again, I'm saying this, you have to carry a very plain mind doing this. And giving gifts is not a bad thing. For example, now, we went to Microsoft. The truth is that it won't make any sense if you go to Microsoft empty-handed. And for those that were there, you saw that I gave, on behalf of InnovaLab, a gift to Mr. Idowu and a gift to Mr. Bolaji. Is being wise. But if we go there and not give them anything, obviously, they can afford anything that we put into that pack, right? I know that they can afford it, right? Nothing is there that they cannot afford. But it's a sense of appreciation, right? We are appreciating them for, giving us that leverage. And at the same time, it makes it easier for us to be able to go back to them and say, oh, hi, Mr. Idowu, we want to do ABC. Or we have two of our product managers that are very brilliant and we think that they can come and intern at InnovaLab. Do you think it's going to be easier to ask those kind of questions after we have given a gift in comparison to when we did not give a gift? It's going to be easier. Right? But imagine we went to Microsoft and just go empty-handed and went and say, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, the thank you, sir is good. They're not expecting a gift from us. Right? But we went the extra mile to say, let's give a gift on behalf of the community. It's as simple as that. Obviously, if nothing comes out of the relationship with Mr. Idowu and Mr. Bolaji, I will still be fine because it was genuine from my heart to say, no, we can't just go there empty-handed. It can be as simple as that. Right? And Mommy Ibuka Oshika said it. Said some of you are going to an important person's house, you want to visit somebody, you cannot carry a gift. It's not that the person cannot afford it. It's as simple as that. You remember their birthdays. You send them a birthday text message. You send them a gift. You send them a gift of baskets. It can be as simple as that. Do you know that I heard a story? I don't know how true that story is, but I heard a story from one of my mentors. And he said there was a time when, when Access Bank did a merger with Diamond Bank and then Diamond Bank had to go out of and then they sacked a lot of Diamond Bank staffs. There was a particular guy that was very, very close to one of the senior managers at Diamond, not even at Access. And then when that whole merger thing was happening, that guy that senior manager at Diamond had his daughter doing wedding in the UK. This guy is a mid-level person, middle-level manager to a senior manager. He carried his own money, traveled to UK to attend that senior manager's daughter's wedding. The manager saw him and said, you came to my daughter's wedding from Nigeria. You can do this, da. By the time they were doing that merger, right, that guy was part of the few people that was retained and he was not promoted. Now, you might say, how does that matter? Is it about his job? Yeah, it's not about his job. But was that important enough on the day that mattered when they were sacking everybody? He was retained and then he was promoted. And then he got into Access easily. Because he spent his own money to go to the UK to attend a wedding that was none of his business. Could he have sent a text message and say, congratulations, sir. Congratulations on your daughter's wedding. Oh, yes, he could have done so. But one of the ways you can play an healthy politics, right, is giving gifts, showing up for people, remembering their birthdays. It's a healthy way. They would not forget, right? And even if they now forget, just let it and go. That's part of life, right? Even if they forget, that's part of life. That's an healthy way. So it's not you kissing their ass. Even if you don't like the person, still remember their birthday and appreciate them for being a human being that they are. Right? Even if you don't like how the person works, but they are still human beings. They still work with you. Their birthday is special to them. Even if they don't think that it's special, buy them a gift of basket. Even if they can afford it, just buy it. Just like I said, what do you think? Like I give the example. Do you think it would be easier for us to go to Microsoft and say, want something if we did not go with a gift? It will not be easy. Don't let me go you. Even if I go to them and say, hi, Mr. Bolaji, want to do that. But if I go now, that we have given a gift, it's going to be much easier because they remember that these guys were thoughtful enough to give something. So it's not about, you're not bribing them. No, don't get it wrong. Because that's another thing people think. No, you're not bribing anybody. You're giving something genuinely. Like I said again, they give us an opportunity to come in there. It wouldn't make sense that we're not going there and go empty-handed. No matter how small it is, right? We should go there with, even if they can afford it. So that's a way of playing healthy politics. At least that's one of the most simplest thing that you can do, and it can work for you anyway. It can be as simple as remembering that person's birthday. It can be as simple as sending the person a gift on the days that matter to the person. It can be as simple as showing up for the person even when it's not convenient. That person will remember that act, and on the days that matter, they will be able to stand up for you and be your advocates. And so you won't have to beg anybody for promotion. It should naturally come because, no, this person was... See, they promote people because of the most basic of things. And I'm sure if you're already, especially in the banking sector, all those banks, there's a lot of bureaucracies that happen in there, right? And it can be as simple as this person greets me in the morning and this person does not greet me in the morning. Anyways, but I hope you got that idea, right? It can be as simple as that. So how you play healthy politics is remember their birthdays, send them gifts, the days that are important to them. They say their children is doing something, celebrate it, send them a text message, it's just being mindful of what is happening and then using that as a leverage of nurturing the relationship. Because on the days that they never matter, many of the times they will remember those relationships and the things that you've done, and it will touch them. They used to say this thing in sales: human beings buy with emotions and justify with logic. All of us human beings, we are emotional beings. So if somebody does something that touches your emotion, they will use that emotion to bless you back. And then they will not justify it by saying, Stewart has actually been a very serious person. She has impacted our product. She has been this. But meanwhile, it's the emotional side of, Stewart, remember my birthday. Remember the birthday of my son. Bought a gift for my son. That's what influenced the emotional side of their decision. Then they will not make that logical side that they will not remember that you're actually a good staff. But that emotional side will trigger them to not remember that, and she's very diligent. She's very productive. She comes to meeting early. They'll not start to remember all your good side. But if you do not touch their emotion, right, your good side will not come straight to their face because you have not triggered the emotional side to why they'll make that decision. So let me end here. I hope this has helped.
40%, maybe 50. I don't know.
I guess. So what else are you looking out for in terms of not kissing somebody's ass and just being maybe an hypocrite when you don't like somebody, you're now forming for the person? What else are you thinking at the back of your mind that you think that you want me to maybe throw more light on, so I can quickly do that so we can run to the other people? Or do you think that is fine for now?
Yeah, okay, so so some of the things you mentioned, okay, well, maybe I don't do it, but we do it like in a group. So okay. But the other part is I just feel like as leaders or as bosses, there's something I learned. They're like, people say everybody can like you, and it's given. I've come to live with that. So mentally, psychologically, I don't even, as I get to the organization, I just believe, everybody just can't like you, but do what you need to do. So that has always been like my anchor, and I've always stick to that. But I just feel like as a leader, we just know how to separate the borderline between liking somebody because you like the person personally and just appreciating people on the job. And maybe I'm just reading it too far, but I think that's what I
get your
feel.
point. Sincerely, I get your point, but see, we human beings, we are the most interesting people. Even me that I'm talking to you, we are the most interesting people, right? Even you. I'm sure that if you sit down and look at it, you probably make most of your decisions emotionally more than logically. So it's now when I mean healthy politics now means that you are smart, you deliver your job. That is important, so that your job speaks for you, but that emotional side also has to speak for you. If you don't touch that emotional side, you might not get any promotion no matter how good you are. And it's not because they are trying to be wicked. It's just you have not touched people at the point that they need to be touched. Right? It sounds unfair, but I've been saying something very recently. Life in a way, it's sort of unfair. Not everything that you want just comes the way you want it. So that's why you have to play the game. And I use the keyword play the game healthily. So don't get caught up in that entire thingy, right? Do your job well, one, and then now play the game healthily. Remember people's birthday. Remember things that are important to them. Celebrate them on the days that are important. Send them a text message. You know, all those little things count. And then you are now a very good person. You deliver on your job. You have crowned all your efforts on top. So it's a balance of the two. Don't just be a good person on your job, and people don't, some of the key people or key players in your organization don't see you from that emotional side of something that you've done to them, that they really feel like, this person, it made them feel special, or it made them feel like you are thoughtful. The key word there is thoughtful. It's not because you are trying to bribe them. It's thoughtfulness, right? That's the way it is. It's thoughtfulness that, you thought enough to be able to do something for them on the things that are important, right? Or it can even be as simple as doing extra job when they do not ask you. It's possible for you to do your job well and not do extra job. It's very possible. You are doing your job well, you are very diligent, but you're not doing extra job. Do you know that extra job can also be the emotional cord, right? Emotional cord to the person, your line manager or your adjacent manager or whatever, right? Stewart is always doing extra. She's always doing more than we ask her to do. She delivers more than we ask her to do. We asked her to do 100 user research. She did 200. We asked her to do 200 this. She did 400. You're already touching their emotion. They are seeing you as someone who is not just doing the job, but is doing more than the job. When companies, I know in banks, they do a lot of targets. Oh, targets. But at the end of the day, you find that people that hit their target or hit more than their target, you find that they tend to get more perks or more promotions easily, because they are not just hitting their target, they are doing much more than the target, and that makes it more easier for them to say, no, this person does a lot. So yeah, I hope that helps. Stewart, I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks, Banji. Yeah.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, so let's quickly go to evidence. Evidence, over to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Before you go on, please, if you have any contributions, please use the chat section so that we can, maximize our time. Just type it in the chat section so that all of us can also learn. So if you have any contributions to whatever I'm saying, right, I will appreciate. I don't want to be the jack of all trades. Please, it's good that we all contribute to this conversation. So if you have I like as Akachiko has dropped points. I see some people dropping points on the chat section. Please, drop your own points and suggestions as well on the chat section. Okay, evidence, you can go on. Thank you.
Okay. I am an aspiring product manager, and I have questions. But one of my very important questions is that, as a product manager, must your career really be bent on building a product? What if you do not have interest in building a product? Like for me, for now, my main reason of going into product management was not because I want to do a startup or own a product to my name or something. But now, everywhere I turn, every meeting I join, every group I find myself in, I keep hearing startup, you create a product, you create this. And it scares me seriously, because that's not the, maybe later in the future I can have a change of mindset, but right now it's wasn't, that is not my driving force. So that is why I'm asking that, does every product manager have to own a product, have to build a product, own a startup? That's my question.
No. Very good question. And the answer to it is no. Right? Funny thing is that Bola, somebody asked that question during the Microsoft Innovation Center. Somebody asked about, if you have a product idea, should you become a startup founder or something like that, something around that line. And I remember Bolaji saying that no, because I remember he also said that, he doesn't have the capacity of a CEO. And I think we've had one conversation on the community group as well, where I talked about how everybody should not be CEOs, because the job of CEO is a lot. So it's not about building products alone, right? CEO is a lot, is a lot, is a lot. In short, a product is your least important. The product is the least important thing to a CEO. I can tell you that, at least not from personal experience, because I'm still a learning CEO. I don't want to call myself a CEO, but from listening to people that have gone ahead of me, right? My brother and sister, CEO is not beans. Especially if you want to build something big, right? Not small business owner, not Instagram business owner, right? Right. So you want to build something big. Is not the product is even your least important, focus. The product is your least important focus, and that's why you need to hire a product manager if you want to become a CEO, right? So that the product manager focus on the product and you focus on the more important things like leadership, managing the business, partnerships, and all of those other things. So, evidence, no, you don't have to be a startup founder. That's one. You're not starting up anything. And please, just in case somebody here is thinking about that too, please look at the trend of all the Nigerian tech startups that are crashing. At least I'm sure everybody is seeing the news. Not even Jumia Food now that is leaving Nigeria. That one is leaving Nigeria. I mean, like startups from Payday to, there are a number of them that we all see all over. You go to Tech Point or all of these tech blogs, you hear all of them. And they have raised money. So they are not, it's not like they started up without something. They raised from $1 million to $2 million to $3 million, and then you are hearing that the company is shutting down. The truth is that that's one of the challenges with our Nigerian tech ecosystem. Everybody is trying to become a startup founder when they don't have to become a startup founder. Please, you can become a product manager with your full chest and focus on managing the product. Being a startup founder, being a CEO is way more than product. Product is your least important responsibility. Your biggest responsibility is shaping the company's vision, shaping the company's culture, strategy, partnerships, and all of that. You don't have to be a CEO. So that's one. Now, when it comes to, as a product manager, do you have to build products as well? Evidence, you don't have to build products too. If you have been in my class, especially my first class, it's just that most of the time we focus more on digital product and software product in the course of the training at Innova Lab. But at the same time, especially in the first class, I always emphasize that product management is not limited to tech. And most of the times, I always use that Sukna example where I show you the burial ceremony company, the burial company and stuff. It's called Sukna, right? So you can use your product management skills in business. It works, right? At least one of the easiest example I can remember is Esther Adebayo. I think a product session is on our YouTube page where she talked about using product management skills in business. She's one of the people that we trained, but she's not, I don't still think she's working as a product manager. Instead, she has used the product management skills in her fashion business. So if you're more of a business inclined person, you can take all these things we are teaching you, bring out the principles out of everything, and then I'll say, how can I apply this thing in my business that I am running? It will always work. And me, I'm a big advocate of it, right? And if you've been in any of my classes, you know I always talk about product management skills in business. It can work. It will work. Even for us at Innova Lab, right? Is what we are teaching that we are implementing when it comes to building Innova Lab as a business, right? Is every single thing that we are teaching is what we are trying to implement on a daily basis. From understanding users to understanding, people in our community to our trainees. What can we improve? What can we do better? How can we drive virality? Every single thing that we teach is what we are always trying to say, how do we implement in a practical sense? Right. So we're literally taking the product management skills. InnovaLab is not a digital product. It's not a software product. It's a service. It's a training service. But we are trying to apply what we teach in the training service as well. So yes, you don't have to build software. You don't have to build digital products. You don't have to be a startup founder. You can apply product management skills in managing your own business. If you have a business and you're passionate about that business, you can apply product management skills even in career, right? You can apply product management skills in manufacturing. You can apply product management skills in other industries that is not like core software tech. You can apply product management skills in hardware if you are very passionate about hardware devices. Right? I have somebody in our community right now. Oh, Dayo is here. I know Dayo is very passionate about hardware. I've always seen the way you always talk about hardware. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Dayo do stuff in hardware. Right? Even though the core of the training was focused more on software and digital products, but I know that Dayo really likes that hardware environment, and I can see that it's going to do a lot of things. So you don't have to apply this in software, digital product, building an app, or building a website. No, you can do hardware. Even Mr. Sam here is also an hardware person, right? You can do hardware, you can do business, you can even use it. I had a very amazing guy in Ibadan cohorts. What's this guy? Dayo, what's this your guy's name?
Tawhid.
Tawhid. Exactly, Tawhid. Right. I know that Tawhid is not going to do software. And so if I'm sure Dayo and Damila is also here as well. I'm always giving that business example because he always say that I cannot do this your software thing. Right. But me and Tawhid has talked about a number of things after he finished his training, right? Around business. And how can he apply his product management skills in business? So yes, please, you don't have to do software. You don't have to do mobile app. You don't have to do digital products. You can apply product management skills in business. You don't have to be a startup founder. I hope that answers your question, Evidence.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Don't get overwhelmed, right? Don't get overwhelmed because you're in the midst of people building software. I think that's another thing I just want to chip in. So just because everybody is always talking about app, websites, software as a service, AI, don't get overwhelmed. Just see it as they are talking about their own thing, right? Your own is, how can I apply this thing in my own thing? If I'm a business person, I want to sell shoes, I want to sell bags, I want to sell whatever it is. How can I apply this thing in my own business? Just like I said, Esther Adebayo runs a fashion business. And she outrightly said it that she learns product management not because she wants to become a product manager in tech. She learned product management because she wants to improve her fashion business. And she has improved her fashion business. The last time me and Esther talked, the business has gone way better than when she started. Esther was among our first cohorts in 2021. Right. So that's that for that. I can answer that evidence question. So let's go to Abby. Then we'll come to Adeyemi. Abby, over to you.
Hi, Banji. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity again. Always interesting to hear from you. Mine is more of a comment and also a suggestion, or should I say, question. The first thing is I would like to mention the fact that one of the best decisions or one of the best things that happened to me this year was transitioning into product management, one, and also taking the decision to learn product management at InnovaLab Institute. Now, apart from the great experience that I had in InnovaLab Institute, most of the time when I speak in different communities, I've had the opportunity of people approaching me and asking me questions with respect to where I learned my product management from, or if I've been in product management for 7 years. And when I tell them that, no, I transitioned just a few months ago, they'll be like, "Are you whining me?" And at the end of the day, they ask me, "Where did you learn your product management from?" I tell them InnovaLab Institute. From there, I'm talking about people both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Most of them are now, students of InnovaLab Institute, and I'm really, really excited to have done that. Now, it's now going to lead me to my next comment, which is the innovation thing that happened at Microsoft. Honestly, I applaud it. However, I think going forward, if we are going to be organizing that kind of a session, people who are not currently domiciled in Nigeria should be given the opportunity. Yes, I understand we probably didn't have the means to carry people who are currently not in Nigeria along. But if we can always have Zoom link for people who are readily available. Not like they are going to make Zoom link available to you and you now ghost them, you not attend, you get. For people who are really passionate about this thing, or for people who ask questions about Innova Labs seminars, I think it's going to be a very interesting thing if we have that in plan, from 2024. It's going to be a very, very interesting thing, and I'll be very, very excited. Then finally, just a piece of advice for everyone who is currently on this call. I want to urge all of us to try and be the best version of ourselves going forward. I recently saw a job post outside of Nigeria, customer services, and one of the skills they asked for that job was SQL. And honestly, sorry, SQL and Python skills. And I'm not making this up. I'm not making it up. Now, imagine just customer service job asking for SQL and Python skill. Like, I just couldn't match, I couldn't get. So just imagine what they will expect from a product manager. In a nutshell, I transitioned from customer services. I didn't have any technical background. And in the last couple of months, I've been able to dedicate just 10 minutes every day as a lazy reader. 10 minutes every day. I've been able to dedicate it to SQL, Python, and Power BI. And to God be the glory, I'm making progress. So guys, it's competitive out there. Just try and ensure that, whatever you're doing every day, dedicate 5 minutes to learn or to upskill. Just try and learn one, technical skill. Dedicate that 5, even if you don't understand it, come back to it tomorrow, spend 5 minutes and be consistent with it. Look at it back again in 3 months. Honestly, you'll be glad that you made that decision. So that's my take. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Abby. So yeah, don't worry. It is first version of the conversation with Microsoft. So don't be angry with us that we could not carry everybody along, right? So it's also a thing that they had to tell us and say, oh, how many people can we do? And they said, okay, they gave us a number to work with, right? So that's one, right? It's a thing that we have to respect them, right? And then the second thing is, as well as obviously subsequent events like that, obviously we have to make it broadcasted if it's possible for us to make it broadcasted, right? Then thank you for shipping out the advice on learning broad skill sets and don't limit yourself to the core, right? I think I highlighted that, and I will also suggest that please don't just learn broad skill sets for broad skill sets sake alone. I want us to be very careful, right? Don't just learn broad skill sets for broad skill set alone. Because, for example, now, what if you don't really have a very strong interest in Python and SQL? Please don't, just like Mommy Buku and Woshika said, focus on your strengths and then delegate your weakness, or let other people do the weakness. Anything you're weak at, just let other people do it. Don't go and form jack of all trades and then you don't have the master of none, right? And I think it's very congent. So if you know that, okay, you are going to be interested in the future in SQL and Python, and that's a thing for you, then obviously learn it. But if you know it's not going to be a thing for you, if you're like someone like me now, that I like growth, I like scaling users, I like business side of building products, I would not focus too much on the deep nitty-gritty details. Now, it's good to know, but my point is build yourself around the areas that you really enjoy. Very important. So that you are doing this job from and this learning with a direction. For example, now someone like Dayo now should be studying, robotics and hardware solutions and how those kind of things can work together because of his passion in the hardware space, right? Not just to go and learn maybe data science product manager for data science sake. Someone like Dayo now should be studying technical product management and then find something around maybe robotics or hardware or stuff, because that's in line with an area that he's interested in. So please don't just go and do learn because of job posts. Very important. right? Don't learn just because of job posts. Learn because you have an interest in that thing, because that then helps you to know that you are not learning because of the job. Because if you leave that job tomorrow, the job is not going to be there forever. So if you leave the job tomorrow, now what now happens, right? Will you unlearn what you've learned? Probably not. Do you get? So please learn according to what you are interested in, which still brings me back to what exactly are you interested in? I think that's another thing that everybody needs to answer. What exactly are you interested in? And please, you are free. Just because everybody is talking about software, digital products, even this AI drama, I'll use Ido's word, right? AI drama, this AI drama thingy, you don't have to get into it, right? If you have your own space. But you can ask yourself, how can I use this AI for what I want to do? That's how you should think about it. Not necessarily, oh, you want to build an AI product. The question is, how can I leverage this AI thingy for what me I want to build? That's how your mind should be thinking, not necessarily because of everybody's talking about AI. So yeah, thank you, Abby, for chipping in those points. Let's hear from Adeyemi finally, and then I'm going to run through some of the key 7 things I want us to look at before we then wrap up for the night. Adeyemi, over to you.
All right, thank you, Olabanji. I think mine is actually just a comment and to encourage Stuart in what she's actually going through. Haven't gone through similar things in the past. So one or two advices I would like to give is one, you really need to study your boss and study him or her very carefully. So you need to know what they like, what they don't, when best to talk to them, and you need to now look for someone on your boss's level in his circle that has more influence than that person that you can also build a relationship with. And you building a relationship with that person can actually help you be your own mouthpiece in getting to your boss anytime you need some sort of to get some things through your boss or get some things done to him. That's one. Number two is in the job place. I mean, I'm a kind of person that we sit in both similar skin. Let me put it that way, because I'm a strong choleric. I like to just say things the way it is. Focus on my job. Let my job speaks for me. Yes, in as much as your job is going to speak for you, sometimes because of the kind of environment you find yourself in, you will need to go a step further to find a way to announce the things that you're doing. This is not necessarily you going above your boss to your boss's boss to announce some of the things you're doing, but some way, somehow, you just need to be your own what's it called now, your own amplifier. You need to learn, learn how to communicate what you're doing within the space and take pride in what you've done and how you are impacting the team on the short, mid, and long term. So that's what I just like to encourage her with.
Okay, thank you for that encouragement, Adeyemi. That was very succinct, right? Focus on build relationships with people that in your boss's level, and don't let them be people that are your people, and they can speak up for you in the places that matter. Okay, let's hear from Faith. Faith, over to you.
Hello, good evening, Banji.
Good
Good evening,
evening.
everyone. So as a newbie in tech, as a product manager, and before tech, you get lots of ideas, like very viable ones and things that would actually solve a problem for people. And you talked about implementing it and not just getting lots of ideas. So that being said, am I supposed to implement all of it? If not implementing it at once, but I cannot be, let me say, for instance, a startup founder of lots of products. Let me put it that way. So am I supposed to give these ideas to people, or am I supposed to sell it? if that's possible, do they sell PRDs? That's my question.
Yeah, so they sell ideas, though, by the way. Hey, they sell ideas, though. But it's just that you cannot just sell the idea as an idea on paper or on pen, right? You can only sell the idea when you already have an MVP of what that idea looks like or what the idea is going to work like, right? So it's easier to sell an MVP version of the idea when you've built something out and then you can now sell the vision or the proposed value of that thing into the future to the people you want to sell the idea to, right? So if you're an idea person, is good, right? But I think that if you find yourself being an idea person, I still think you want to have a strong major place of interest. Somebody asked this question at the live series with Ibukun Awoshika last Sunday as well about, I have many interests. I can do a lot of things. I find out that I am very versatile. I can do plenty of things. And the way she answered the question is, yeah, it's good to be able to do plenty of things, but then you must have like a core. And then you do plenty of things from your core. So there must be a very strong core in one aspect that you know that this one is the core of everything that you are and everything that you do. Then all the other things that you're now versatile in, you can now come out of that your core and then be exploring them, right? So I would say that find your core or identify something that is your core, and then now ensure that you are building that core deeply. Then you can now start to branch out other things that you really like doing, and areas that you think that you are sort of versatile in, right? So, and then in context of selling ideas, I would say if you want to sell ideas, selling ideas is a thing. People do it. If you go on YouTube now, there are a lot of startups that have been bought by big tech companies that we don't hear a lot. For example, there's a product called Waze. Google bought that Waze product because it was better than even the almighty Google Map. It had some really better features than Google Map. Waze is a mapping product, and Google bought Waze out, right? There are a lot of products that Google has bought out. Even YouTube. YouTube is not primarily owned. It was not built by Google. Google bought it out, right? So there are a lot of products that the big techs, especially, they buy out, right? Because the products, obviously, they don't buy ordinary idea. They buy out an MVP that has potential. So if you want to do that, then it means you must have at least built an MVP out, something that the people can see a functional prototype of how the product is going to look, and then you can now sell them the potential of, okay, if you invest your money and your resources in this thing, it can become this. So it means that you must have also done your own market research and all the own nuances of understanding the viability of that idea to an organization. So yeah, you can take that route as well. People do it. It's not popular in Nigeria, but people do it, outside of Nigeria, where they just build an MVP and then sell it to bigger companies. And the bigger companies will then invest in it. YouTube was a product. YouTube is not what it is today, right? When it was bought by Google. Waze is not what it is today when it was bought by Google. For example, now, Apple bought Beats by Dre. And then the Beats by Dre is what made the baseline for Apple AirPods, right? If you go to Apple website now, you see Beats by Dre there. It's still existing, but it's owned by Apple, right? It was sold to Apple, but they didn't sell an ordinary idea. They sold the technology of the Beats by Dre headphones and all of that. So you can't just sell ordinary idea. You have to build those ideas into tangible prototypes or MVPs that can be used, that can be tested, and then you now sell the MVP with the potential of the MVP. So that's on that matter, right? So okay, let's quickly go into a list that I have, right? Let's quickly go into a list that I have, right? So that we can maximize the time. I know we already use more than 1 hour, so let's go into the list. I have a long list. No, I say long list. I have a seven lists, right, that I have that I think that it's important to move your career forward in 2024. 7 things that I think you should pay attention to, and that I think you should pay attention to in 2024, right? 7 things. It's going to cut across everybody, regardless of your industry, right? So, regardless of industries.